Hello, this is Carter Boucher with Boucherart.com. That's www.b as in boy, Oucherart.com. I'm going to be bringing you a series of videos designed for artists or amateur artists, professional artists. I'm going to run the gamut in this series. And a lot of the videos will be on technique, some will be on material, some will be on storage. We may even get into some marketing tips, things like that. I hope you enjoyed today's video. It's going to be on how to transport brushes. Now, before you invest a lot of money in brushes, you should know something about how to store them and transport them. And what you will notice is that I have watercolor, oil brushes, and acrylics separated in different cans, labeled for what type of paint they're to be used with, and I do not mix these. That's an important concept. In the bottom of each can is some foam, and I get the foam from different places, sometimes from things that are shipped to me. Sometimes I use old shoe inserts that I've washed and cut to shape for the smaller cans. Just something to pad the bottom. It helps keep your paint from chipping off the brush when you set the brush in the can. I do not put the brushes back in a can until they have air dried, and I have a drying rack I'll show you in another series when we talk about that kind of thing. I just wanted you to see they were stored separately. All I did was take cans, coffee cans, soup cans, that kind of thing, spray paint them black, and put a label on them. I also put cedar balls in the cans to help discourage any moss. That's not important with synthetic brushes, but with all natural brushes, that's a good idea. Sometimes when you buy paint brushes, they come on cards. If you save the cards, you can put them back in those cards. I would consider this the least adequate way to carry brushes. They do clip back in. You see there's like a little hole in the piece of cardboard down here the brush slips into. Then up here there's a little plastic clip. You can save these, but then you end up with a bunch of different cards you have to carry with you. Another way is you can copy what some of the companies, this is a Winsor & Newton synthetic brush pack, and what they did was simply take a piece of cardboard and fold it on each end. You can see from the edge that it's folded, and put a rubber band around it. At the top, if you save these clear plastic things that the brushes go back into, you can put those back on. It is risky. You always run the risk of bending a hair doing that. You have to wet it and slide it in and let it dry. The clear plastic has a hole at the top so it will dry. If you're going to use a cardboard folder like this, you want to leave extra room at the top, and then you want to notch it and put a rubber band on it. And of course the rubber band just broke. I don't actually carry them this way, I'm just showing you this. These go back in that box. There are also, if you buy the better brushes, this is I believe this one's a Series 7, Winsor & Newton Series 7 brush, one of the best brushes in the world. It comes in a clear plastic container like this. It has the clear plastic cap. If you take the end cap off and slide it out, it has a clear plastic cap. Now you can save these and put them back on, but here again you're risking bending the hair, but that clear plastic top combined with the tube, even if it slides down, the clear plastic top will keep it from bending the brush. Now we move up to things I actually use. I have used those others before in a pinch when I was first starting out, which means I was a little kid and money was very scarce. This is a roll-up Asian style brush holder. You can get them in cedar or bamboo. I recommend the cedar. Has a cloth pouch at the bottom, usually with a little bit of elastic. And the way it works is you take your brushes and you slide them into the slots. And with some of the smaller brushes, you can put several in one slot. And then what you do is you roll it up. Now, I don't actually roll mine per se. I kind of fold it flat and then use the tie. And the reason is I use a French Juliette easel when I travel, and that's what I use this with. and I simply fold it to fit in the slot, and I want to keep it fairly flat so it ends up about that big, and I tie it in a bow tie with the shoelace there. And this works pretty well. There is a little bit of danger of them bouncing, but with the Juliet, you know which end is the bottom on the easel box that holds these. So you're going to make sure you load these with the bottom of the brush pointing towards the bottom of your easel, and don't sling your easel around. If you tie it fairly securely, it's going to hold them in place. Now, another really good way to do, but it's expensive because you end up with two sets of brushes, your travel brushes and your regular brushes, is to buy a brush that was designed to be a travel brush. This comes, it's a metal container. You pull out the brush and clip this back together. You now have a very nice handle. It paints well. The only thing I don't really like about this idea is it doesn't work with flat brushes, and I use flats and filberts a good bit. For your round brushes, it's great. And for small sketching, a brush like this, because I buy mostly, for watercolors, I mostly buy Kolinsky sable brushes that come to a really fine point. I don't know if you can see just how sharp that brush is. Here again, you have that same problem of there's always a risk you could bend a hair putting this thing in. But this is very secure, and you can just put this in your pocket. And it travels well. For small sketches, that's great. If you're going to paint a little bigger, let's move on up. Here's another kind of brush carrier. This is by Art Bin. I'm not promoting them per se, but this is a plastic carrier with foam. And you can see I have an oil painting brush. Again, a Kolinsky sable. I really like Kolinsky sables. However, I use a lot of synthetics, and we'll talk about that in another series. But when you want something really fine that comes to a great point and snaps back with light or thin paints, this is the thing. And this is sitting here. You can see I still have the clear plastic top. I actually used the roll-up one I showed you more. I have, if I'm flying, taken the hard case for some of my bigger brushes and just made sure I put an extra piece of foam to make sure it was being held really tightly. This only has the clear plastic still on it because it's a new brush I haven't used. I store some of my new brushes in this in a cabinet upstairs because I'll often buy them when they're on sale, and I'll have several. And then these fine brushes, especially the long-handled oil ones and acrylic ones, they wear out. Watercolor ones tend to last, but the oil and acrylic ones wear out. That's my take on traveling with brushes. I would say make sure whatever system you use that they're held securely. What's the most danger to your brush traveling is that it's going to slip and end up with the end crimped, bending a hair. All right, go out and have fun painting.